What's up, Ringside Collectibles, WrestlingFigures.com. It's the Q&A portion of the show. We're here at WrestleMania XL, and I'm putting the boys on the hot seat. Steve Ozer, Bill Miekina. You guys are old pros at this, though, at this point, right? Like, this isn't intimidating anymore, is it?
It's fine.
It's fine.
Nothing to announce at this time, right?
Stay tuned, all the old classics, the greatest hits, if you will. Of course, as always, I have some fan questions hand-selected by maybe me, but probably not. You never know. I'm just going to run through a few of them, and you guys let me know what you think. Sure. First up, we're seeing some NXT representation in the line. We know this already, right? When will we see even more NXT representation in the elite lines?
It's going to continue, right? We set out to do at least one NXT talent in each elite wave. Hopefully the same for main event as well. But we push for it. It's in the back of our minds when we create lineups. So, you're going to continue to see at least what you're seeing now. In some ways, we'll absolutely have more.
Yeah, and sometimes what happens is we start developing it as NXT talent. By the time it comes out, they've already gone on to Raw or SmackDown. So it looks like, well, we're not doing NXT talent. It's like, no, we're doing NXT talent. But like at the time they were NXT, by the time they reach the store and are available for everyone to buy and purchase, they're somewhere else. So that's another reason why it might seem that we're not doing exclusively NXT, but believe me, we are.
They're getting out there for sure. There's no doubt about that. We saw some new ones today in Tony D'Angelo, and it's not like there's no NXT talent. So answered that question very well, in my opinion. Let's move on to the next one. Could we see larger body types in the Ultimate Edition line? Obviously, so far up to this point, we've had Andre the Giant. I don't think anyone really larger than that. That was a pretty big one. Who else? Yokozuna, we also saw.
It doesn't get any bigger than that, right?
Of course, that's a big one.
And we had Yokozuna, of course, in the display case. We showed Vader for the first time. Vader has a chase as well. And we showed Dusty Rhodes, right. And all our, I believe, brand new torso sculpts.
Yeah, brand new and somewhat unique sculpt for Dusty's torso, and that it has the birthmark molded onto the side of the right-hand side of the torso. So that is kind of we are being very specific with our tooling on the Ultimates. So, so there are definitely going to be a wide range of when you line up your entire Ultimate collection at some point, the range of body styles is going to be very diverse.
And with that in mind, I think kind of to answer this question in that way, there's no body type that's kind of off the table for Ultimate Edition, right?
I don't think so. I mean, we mentioned Yoko off the bat. So if they're Ultimate worthy, or we can find a way to make them Ultimate worthy, they're on the table for consideration.
Excellent. Very exciting. Next question. Since no one's asking, what's the status of Macho Man? Actually, I resent that because we ask that every single time we get a microphone in front of you guys. So no one is not asking that very much.
I think you asked me that same question last year. Nobody's asked me when we're barraged.
Not just last year, Comic-Con, Ringside Fest. We've asked that every single time, since Macho Man has been out of the line. So I assume perhaps there's not an update here.
There's not. Originally a Defining Moments figure, but the Ultimate Edition figure based on WrestleMania 7, that prototype is done and ready. So the second he's back with us, we'll push that out in front of you guys, and you'll know he's back, and we're going to roll out the Randy Savage figures. But, that time is not quite yet.
That's it. I'm not asking it again. Someone is asking, and we're asking. Okay, moving on. All right. Of course, my screen lock went on. Who looks like an idiot now? Me. All right.
You didn't let us answer that.
So we've seen the LWO box set. Very exciting to get kind of an entire group in one box set. Could we see some classic box sets in that way, like Right to Censor, Raven's Flock, Dungeon of Doom, DOA, Filthy Animals? The possibilities are endless. What are the possibilities for group box sets moving forward?
The possibilities of the groups you just named are very limited. Maybe if we mash some of those together, we can form one full box set. Look, if talent are available and it makes a viable box set, we're going to want to do it. But we have to work with who we have, right? So you're talking about NWO, you're talking about maybe Judgment Day. Those are on the table for consideration. We're doing box sets in general. So, hopefully they can come to fruition. And some, bigger name, the more likely for those.
Cool. We'll see what happens on that one. Here's a fun one for all three of us, actually, even a question for me. Tom, Bill, Steve, what are your personal dream most obscure Legends figures? This person says mine are The Wall, Ralphus, and That's Not Cyclope, Dean Malenko. I'm not familiar with that. Man, that's a deep cut right there.
That's
So
a very deep cut. We, as you can see by what we've shown, this week and other times we've done reveals, like we're not afraid of doing the deep cuts. I guess one of mine I've always wanted to get in the line was the missing link, just
that's
because
a good choice.
just because from a visual standpoint it's so unique and bizarre, and it was also one of the first wrestlers I ever saw.
Yeah.
So imagine seeing that, like that's your first entry point into pro wrestling is the missing link. It's like, whoa, what is this? This is nuts. And just from maybe not quite as weird, but like I really, really, really would want to work on a Stan Hansen at some point.
Okay. Yeah, that fits. How about you, Steve?
I mean, we've done a lot of the deep cuts I've wanted to do, like Gobbledygooker. There is one that I've been attempting to do for a long time that Bill and I finally ironed out, and that will go in the booth this weekend at some point. It's not yet in the booth, but for something new, maybe like how about Golga?
That's a good choice.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
that one. Yeah, anyone from that group would be a good choice. I'm gonna go with Gorgeous George, and I don't mean classic Gorgeous George. I mean WCW Gorgeous George.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Maybe both. I would like both Gorgeous Georges.
Yes.
Yeah. I'd like to ask each of you individually, Steve then Bill, what's your favorite figure on display so far?
Nothing gave me greater pleasure this weekend than putting the Doink Bushwhackers into that case. I posed them out, Bill glued them down onto the stand, and just like seeing Butch specifically with that facial expression and the arm up in the air, like that was just like something that I had wanted for forever, and it's happening, and I'm just like so pleased. And like I don't know how many people have come up to me and been like, oh my God, those Doink Bushwhackers are unbelievable. So I'm glad people are liking them, and let's make more goofy figures.
Those were great and very unexpected. A pleasant surprise, we'll say.
Oh, and they will have, I don't know if Bill covered this already, they will have regular Bushwhacker heads. So if you missed out on the old Legends Bushwhackers, you can create them here.
Great.
Or if you want an excuse to buy two of each.
Please buy two of each.
Two of my favorites that we are displaying for the first time. One of them is Elite 109, Dominic Mysterio, Prison Dom, with the the soft goods shirt and the sunglasses and the face cover. Like that's one of those, like you visualize it, what it's going to look like in your head, and then when you can get it, finally all the parts to come together properly and have it in front of you, it's just so satisfying, and it looks exactly like how it's supposed to, and I'm really happy with how that one turned out. And the other one is Elite 111 Sandman, just because that was something I never thought I'd be able to work on. I mean, when that one showed up when Steve told me that Sandman was under a merchandise deal, I was like, for real? And I was like, okay, well, we're putting him in the line pretty soon then.
And not just one, but two versions.
Yeah, and then obviously you don't want to get if you have a hard time deciding which version. Well, hey, that's a nice one to have the Chase variant on.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, and then getting the head sculpt to match his look on the ECW music cover, like just a lot of fun stuff I was able to do with that figure. So those are the two that probably are the most satisfying that I've worked on that we're showing at the show.
Excellent. Great stuff. All right, next question. The women's wrestling figure question. We're back, as always. So can you give me kind of like there's so many questions on this. I sometimes don't understand it because we're getting a lot of women's wrestling figure variety, but let's just say from a question perspective, can you offer like a state of the union on women's wrestling figures and what we should expect?
Yeah, I think if you were to do a year-on-year count throughout the history of the line, like these last several years, you're probably getting the most ever women action figures from WWE. And, that's due to their popularity and content, of course, and, you, the fans, demanding it. And we're going to keep, pumping out those women action figures for you. Will there be some waves that have more than one? Absolutely. Right. But will it happen every time? No, because there's balance to be had. We're serving a lot of masters from the consumer standpoint. You want NXT talent. You want legends. You want female talent. You need your A-listers. So, you have to hit a lot of marks there. And the female figures are one component of building those lines out. So we're making more than ever. We'll continue to push the limits to try to make even more. But, I'm very happy with the progress we've made over the last several years.
Yeah, even beyond that, like seeing names like Wendy Richter and Alundra Blaze, right, in the retro line, like they're definitely there.
Oh, yeah. We were trying to celebrate the history of of women's wrestling throughout all the lines. And fortunately, we have lines like Retros where we can, lean into the old school legends of the business who paved the way. And I think anyone who knows Bill knows he's probably sick of me pushing for some of these figures, right? But like to have an Alundra Blaze as a retro, like that's a dream come true. She was sorely missing from the collection, and now like we get to rectify that, which is a really cool feeling. Right. And there are more to come.
Exciting, very good. So I think that's an excellent women's wrestling figure update, and I'm very happy with it. Thank you. All right, next question. So the Steiner Brothers, right? You guys, obviously they're signed to deals that make it so that you can make figures of them. We've seen a couple looks so far. We've seen an Elite Scott. We've seen an Elite Rick. Very exciting, but not necessarily any of the early eras. So this person's asking any possibility of more eras of different Scott or Rick Steiner figures. Is there a holdup, or what's the holdup there?
There's no holdup. It's just, when's the right time to get them into the line? Like, we know everyone wants Steiner Brothers as a tag team. It's just finding the right time in the schedule to do it, and then, figuring out like what are the right parts to that you need to develop and tool out to make the best possible versions of those characters. So when they do come out after, a little bit of anticipation, that they meet those, the expectations are going to be very high for those figures. We want to make sure that, we want to exceed those expectations, even though how high they are. So we're, I don't know if you can tell by the answer, but, come on.
They will be amazing.
They will be amazing.
And it doesn't sound like you're going to stop right now. It's they're coming. They're coming.
As long as they're under contract under a WWE merchandise deal, like, and they still sell, like, expect more.
Key names, one of the biggest tag teams of all time, right? So, Of course. Thanks, Bill. Thanks for clearing that up for us.
No problem.
How are we doing on rings like Ultimate Edition scale rings? So obviously we see
them.
So far they've been classic
Ringside
though.
sells.
So Ringside does sell them. And that's really exciting. We've had the Raw's War ring. We're coming up on the WCW Nitro ring. Not necessarily any modern rings in that scale right now, though, right? Could we see that in the future?
Well, it seems to be the pattern that we're doing one of these a year, right? And at a point, we're definitely going to run out of old school rings or just want to pivot to something else. So the chances are good as long as Ringside wants them.
More than likely we do, so I'm up for it. Speaking of things that Ringside has that we want even more of, can you tell us anything about what's coming in the Ringside exclusive From the Vault series? So we're getting Series 1 shortly, which is an excellent set. I love the fact that those figures can be updated, in a way that just drastically improves them. Not that they were bad before, because they're great figures originally, but to see the Dudley Boys, for example, in person now with the face scan updates, just kind of night and day with those. So can you talk a little bit more about the Vault line and what's to come? Maybe it seems like we can't necessarily name any names, but good things to come out of that line.
I mean, that's such a cool line because we've unlocked, so to speak, a new line with Ringside of bringing some of the most popular figures ever back. Some Ringside exclusives, some main line, and some figures that were elsewhere in the line. And we want to continue that. I will say, strategy will change a little. You'll still get the same amount of figures per year, but maybe we'll spread that out a little bit after Wave 2. And speaking of Wave 2, hopefully, don't hold me to it if it doesn't pan out, but we're hopeful Wave 2 shows up while we're still here at WrestleMania, and we can get those in the case, and Ringside can share those pictures with you sometime this weekend. And, that's just like a testament to this WWE Mattel team. It's like there's somebody back in California who waited till the last minute to get those to arrive from Asia and get them on a plane and ship them over here. So, we're trying to make things happen and get you the latest reveals, including From the Vault Wave 2.
Go to great lengths for that WrestleMania weekend excitement, and we, of course, appreciate that from you guys. Next up, we talked about rings before. This person is asking about accessory packs or play sets, saying it's been a while, which I think it kind of has. You see accessories like with figures, but I guess we haven't seen a pack or like any type of like play set going on. Any possibilities there?
So I believe they're probably referring to the ring accessory packs from another manufacturer that were compatible with Mattel figures, right?
Maybe.
But, as I said before, if we're talking about ring-specific accessory packs, we still are in the consumer-based building stage of those rings. Like, once it's prevalent like our main event / basic rings are, that becomes much easier for me to make a reality. But we'll continue to touch base with our retail partners, Mattel Creations, Ringside, of course. When the time is right, we want to try to make that happen. But, we're just not quite there yet.
Cool. Fair enough. All right, let's close it out with a WrestleMania relevant question. Cody is main eventing this year's WrestleMania. Of course, Cody Rhodes with his meteoric rise to the top, trying to finish his story. His dog Pharaoh has been on TV a lot. This person's asking, is it possible we could see a Pharaoh figure now that he's been showing up more often? What do you think, Bill?
It's with the amount that he's been on TV lately, it's probably a lot more likely than it was a month ago. Let's just put it that way.
Interesting. Wow, you heard it here first. More likely than a month ago. That is a great answer to kick off the festivities for WrestleMania weekend, or who knows, by the time you're watching this Q&A, maybe WrestleMania weekend's over. Either way, the excitement never stops, and this year it's extra large. I'm very happy
if you're watching in 2030, you'll know if we did it or not.
That's true. That's very accurate. Guys, thanks so much for answering the questions for us. I liked the fun. Try to ask some more fun questions, okay? Please, just once in a while. Can we get some fun ones? Didn't you see how much fun we had with that fun question? Just ask some more fun ones. That's all. We'll see you later. Thanks, guys. Thanks for answering the fun questions this time around.